Hello everyone! What kid doesn't dream of becoming a superhero with special powers? Telepathy, telekinesis, clairvoyance. What a desire to possess this, especially when your whole life revolves around boring school and misunderstanding parents. Here's the story of Mitchell, the boy who was lucky enough to make his dream come true. One morning, Mitchell leaves home a little earlier than usual. He has 50 euros that he intends to spend on the coolest Spider-Man costume in town. But the day doesn't get off to a good start. The salesman won't let the boy into the store. Empty-handed, Mitchell goes to school, where everyone is talking about the upcoming Halloween party. Suddenly, police officer Giovanna Salenzi walks into the classroom. The woman reports that their classmate Martino disappeared a couple of days ago and asks the children to share any information they may have. Then suddenly she approaches Mitchell to tell him something. Mitchell's classmates begin to mock him, and his nose bleeds from the nerves. He stops doing the test and runs to the bathroom, where he hides in the stall. The bullies, however, still get to him at recess. The boys take the money he got to buy the costume and shamefully chase him out of school with a paintball gun. Upset, Mitchell comes home. He refuses to eat dinner and tries to get rid of his annoying little sister. But when she makes fun of her brother for not having any friends, Mitchell decisively leaves the house and heads for a cheap shop of scary goods. There, he buys the plainest costume of some Chinese superhero, puts it on, and goes to the party. There, he immediately meets Stella, the girl he has a crush on, dressed as Marie Antoinette, but they do not have time to talk properly. The girl is shown strange footage on a large television set.
L'abbiamo copiata dal suo cellulare, dopo che la Sieni gliel'ha requisito.
Mitchell could sink through the floor from shame. He runs away from his classmates and locks himself in a room, begging his reflection to become invisible. But his wish, of course, does not come true. So he jumps out the window and runs home. In the morning, the boy wakes up dressed in his superhero costume. He changes his clothes and goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth as usual. But after looking up at the mirror, sees his robes hanging in the air. Mitchell runs into his room and drops the robe. He realizes that he is completely invisible. Suddenly, his mother runs into the room. She sees that her son is nowhere to be found and begins to worry. After all, one of his classmates disappeared in a similar way recently. So Mitchell hastily writes a note and puts it on his bed while Giovanna isn't looking. Mom reads it and calms down. When his mother leaves for work, Mitchell gets dressed head to toe and goes into town. You can't go to class dressed like that, of course, but the boy has a better plan. When he notices his abuser on the street, Ivan, the bully with a paintball gun, the guy decides to take off his clothes and go straight to class. Undetected, Mitchell pulls the rifle out of Ivan's backpack, shoots it straight into the desk, and drops the weapon into the bully's hands. Later, Mitchell goes to the teacher's room and corrects the answers on his test. Afterwards, he goes to his second abuser, who is playing in a tennis competition. Mitchell interferes with the boy's serve and he loses. In the locker room, the boy's father humiliates him for failing. And afterwards, Mitchell almost brings the guy to a panic attack with a tennis ball prank. After his successful revenge, Mitchell decides to indulge himself and sneaks into the girls' locker room after gym class. At first, he enjoys the view, but suddenly an unexpectedly thrown towel falls right on top of him. The girls see a strange silhouette under the cloth. They approach to remove the towel. And then, Mitchell does not understand why his superpower suddenly disappeared. His mother, in turn, is upset by her son's behavior, especially since now she has more work to do. Another boy from Mitchell's class, Brando, has disappeared without a trace. A psychologist is sent to the class. He tells the teenagers that problems and various worries at this age are perfectly normal, but that's no reason to run away from home. Suddenly, the psychologist speaks directly to Mitchell, and the boy feels that he begins to disappear again. The boy manages to escape from the class at the very last moment, before anyone notices. At home, his annoying sister is waiting for him. Mitchell doesn't want her to see him, so he kicks the girl out of the room. She only pretends to leave, so a couple of seconds later, the whole truth is revealed to her. At first, the girl screams in fright, then gets excited. Together, they try to understand where her brother got his superpowers from.
E adesso devi aiutare la gente in pericolo.
Chi vuoi che aiuti?
When Mitchell's mother arrives home, he is still invisible. The boy sits right in front of Giovanna while she is talking to someone on the phone. She complains that her son has become aggressive and distant from her. Maybe he can feel that he is adopted after all. After hearing these words, Mitchell runs out of the room in terror, gets on his bicycle, and rides away, all alone. The boy is rocking on a swing by the shore. Suddenly, Stella appears by the sea. She notices that the swing is moving on its own. This does not frighten her at all. The girl sits down on the next swing and starts talking with the ghost. She asks who he is, and Mitchell draws a smiley face on the sand with a piece of wood. This excites the girl and she offers to swing together. They chat some more, and Stella hurries off to practice.
Ci rivediamo, vero?
The next day, Mitchell apologizes to Stella for the incident in the locker room, and then notices her drawing a smiley face in her notebook. In the evening, he draws the same smiley face on his crush's fogged-up window, and she lets him, already invisible, into the room. The ghost sneezes from the cold, so Stella covers him with a blanket and beneath it, approaches Mitchell to kiss him. All of a sudden, the boy notices that he has begun to turn back into a normal person, so he hastily jumps out the window and runs away. At home, Mitchell's sister insists that he finally tells Stella the truth. The boy decides to try his luck and walk his dog right to the gym where Stella is training. Meanwhile, the girl's trainer leaves her alone for a while and someone shoots her with a sleeping dart. Mitchell approaches the gym and sees a man with his face covered dragging unconscious Stella to his car. The guy tries to stop the intruder, but the latter manages to fight him off and drive away.
Non sono riuscito a fermarlo.
Oh, hai fatto anche troppo, capito?
Soon Stella wakes up in an unknown place with a bunch of wires on her head. She's surrounded by strange people who collect samples and ask her weird questions. She begs them to let her go home, but they refuse, calling themselves her friends. The next morning, Mitchell wakes up and decides he needs to save Stella. The boy hurries to get his suit and discovers that it has shrunk horribly after being washed and now can only fit his sister. The boy gets angry and yells at his mother for ruining his favorite outfit. Somehow, the boy's screams cause the glass in the house to burst. He runs away from the house again, and in the meantime, Stella is put in the same cage with Martino and Brando, the boys who disappeared earlier. Mitchell sits alone on the shore. All of a sudden, a strange blind man, whom the boy has noticed here on the shore previously, approaches him. From the conversation, Mitchell quickly understands that the man is able to read his mind and asks what he wants. Then the stranger introduces himself as Andre and declares that he is the boy's real father. Andre tells him that he comes from Russia, where there was once a nuclear disaster. At that time, radiation killed many people, but some of those who survived acquired superpowers. Such special people were of interest to the military, who dreamed of creating an army of superhumans. The problem was that they were all infertile, except for Andre himself and Mitchell's mother, Yelena, who he met in the camp.
Poi sei nato tu, il figlio di due speciali.
However, Mitchell's parents knew that the child would be taken from them, so they decided to flee the camp. While Andre was sheltering the baby in the woods, Yelena turned invisible to deal with the soldiers, but one soldier outsmarted her eventually. He spotted a butterfly on the woman's shoulder. Yelena died, and Mitchell inherited her gift. And since Andre knew that the military would get him one day, he decided to give his son to the good woman Giovanna. Andre gives his son a special suit, which was designed for his mother. No more hanging around the streets naked, and the invisibility can be controlled now. Soon the police arrive on the scene. A local fisherman mistook Andre for a criminal and reported him to the department. But before he disappears, Andre erases the man's memory.
Assurdo. Dice di non ricordarsi niente né dell'uomo né del bambino.
Mitchell's mother asks him what he's doing here, and the boy lies that he was just taking a walk. Giovanna sends him home with the psychologist. The boy does not want to talk to him. He is much more interested in the new suit. But the annoying psychologist still insists on drinking tea together and chatting. As they talk, Mitchell notices a bandage on the psychologist's arm exactly where the boy's dog bit Stella's kidnapper. Realizing that he has been discovered, the psychologist bluntly says that he has locked all the doors in the house, and now the boy cannot escape. If he calls the police, all his friends will die. Mitchell manages to distract the psychologist and becomes invisible thanks to the costume he put on earlier. He throws knives at his opponent, but the man dodges them. Then the psychologist takes flour and scatters it in the air to find Mitchell. Eventually, he grabs the boy just before he jumps off the balcony. Nonetheless, the boy manages to outsmart his opponent. Once outside, Mitchell sees Ivan nearby and gets on his motorcycle. He yells at the bully and orders him to move. The psychologist runs after them, but does not make it in time. Giovanna, meanwhile, returns home and sees an incredible mess. Suddenly, Andre calls at the door of her house. Stella and her company too waste no time in their confinement. The girl manages to get out of her cell and sees that they are on a ship. She wanders around it, looking for a way to signal SOS. Mitchell becomes visible again and chats with Ivan, who used to be his sworn enemy. The bully even admits to the boy that he suffers from attention deficit disorder and goes to the psychologist because of that. Mitchell tells his classmate that it was the psychologist who stole Martino, Stella, and Brando. Ivan replies that he is ready to fight and pulls a new paintball rifle out of his backpack. They try to figure out where to go now, and suddenly get a clue from Stella. But when Mitchell and Ivan arrive at the ship, the bandits are already leading Stella into the hold with a gun to her temple. The classmate suggests that Mitchell become invisible and sneak in while he distracts the others. Ivan shoots at the guards and does indeed sow panic on the deck. In the meantime, Mitchell sneaks into the office of the psychologist and his accomplices. There, they watch Giovanna and Andre through hidden cameras. Mitchell nearly gives himself away with an accidental noise, so he hurries out of the office and finds Stella being rudely thrown to the floor for disobedience. Mitchell knocks out one of the guards and threatens the other with a gun. Stella and her friends escape from their confinement, and the girl finally realizes who the ghost has been all along. Brando and Martino insist on fleeing the ship as soon as possible, but Stella tells Mitchell that there is an old man left deep in the hold who must be saved. She leads the boys somewhere through corridors for a long time, and when they finally arrive at the place, Mitchell thinks that Stella has betrayed him, but soon the evil old man, the leader of the gang, explains what this is all about. It turns out that he can bend other people to his will. That's how he got both the psychologist and Stella to do what he wanted. Mitchell is furious and starts fighting the old man's group, when the villain puts a gun to Stella's head and intimidates the boy. He gives the guys an order and they pass the red button. Martino and Brando see a countdown. The ship has entered self-destruct mode. They do not yet know that the old man has abandoned the ship with Mitchell and Stella on board, and now is traveling through the depths of the sea in a submarine. The old man tells Mitchell that the boy is finally getting home and will eventually thank him for being reunited with his mother. According to him, his mother is still alive and waiting for him. Giovanna and Andre, meanwhile, find the lost boys in the hold. Martino and Brando tell Giovanna that Stella and Mitchell are still inside. The woman runs in despite the imminent explosion. There, she meets the psychologist, who swears he remembers nothing. A few seconds before the bomb is activated, Andre manages to pull Giovanna and the psychologist out, and they miraculously escape death. The old man on the sub continues to tell Mitchell what a wonderful future awaits him, and that he does not belong in this world of boring people with their boring problems. Mitchell becomes enraged, and his anger causes glass to break and machinery to malfunction. Together with Stella, they manage to sneak into the captain's cabin and resurface. Finally, Mitchell and Stella are free. The boy shows his superpowers to the police and reporters gather at the scene. But people still can't believe it's true. Then the boy notices his father and runs after him. From the conversation, he realizes that Andre is going to change all these people's memories. If they learn about his power, Mitchell will be in great danger. The father promises that he will come back and leaves. Time passes. Mitchell's mother does not remember anything of what happened to them on the pier. There's a party at school in Stella, Martino, and Brandon's honor. Upset, Mitchell goes to the party and once again becomes the object of ridicule by his old enemies. But this time he finds something to say.
Ivan, tu non sei davvero stupido. È solo un disturbo dell'attenzione. Non è una cosa grave, la puoi controllare.
Mitchell sees Stella leaving the party and comes up to talk to her. The girl admits that she does not want to celebrate and is about to leave. Suddenly, Mitchell sneezes, and Stella smiles mysteriously. They go for a walk together. Meanwhile, somewhere far away, a man reports to another invisible that Mitchell has escaped. It turns out that it is Mitchell's mother, who is really alive and waiting for his return. However, she has another child, Mitchell's twin sister, Natasha, who was recently found in faraway Morocco. Where would you go first had you discovered the gift of invisibility? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. This way, there will be even more awesome retellings on YouTube.